This is the Cult Faction Podcast special bonus episode, Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Superman.
Welcome to the Cult Faction Special Podcast edition, all focused on Zack Snyder's Justice League, or as it's known in the streets, the Snyder Cut. With me today is...
Paul Hawkins.
Damien.
And we're going to tell you exactly what we think.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Although we're missing a trick, really, because there's been a few reviews recently, haven't there? Let's face it, because it came out last week, and we should have just labelled this.
Why are you shitting on us?
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, because we've all got our troubles and strife, and we all have to fit in 4 hours of watching this, and then amongst everything else. But we should
I've
have just
watched
said
it 3 times. What are you saying?
I know, but we should have just said we're doing the Justice is Grey review, because it's just black and white, and it's exactly the same.
Maybe
and then we'd have a steal.
Maybe it's a metaphor. Right. Okay then, so it's the Zack Snyder's Justice League. Everyone's been waiting for it. There's been campaigns for what seems like decades to release the Snyder Cut. And finally it's been released. So just a bit of background. We know that the original Justice League came out all those years ago now. We know that we know that Zack Snyder got the boot from it halfway through but what we need to think about now though is, was the boot justified, or has he justified himself in this Justice League super marathon?
Did you write that one yourself?
I just literally done that off the top of my head and managed to say Zack Snyder.
was there a Justice boot?
No, there was nothing. That literally just came off the top of my head. No, I was just concentrating on making sure I said Zack and not Jack.
Nice.
Right, so first of all then, what I want to check in with you guys about is initial viewpoints when it was announced. What did you think? There's always been, Twitter's been occupied for a while now with release the Snyder Cut. Did you care? Were you interested? What was your thoughts?
I was oblivious to the whole thing. Quite frankly, I had no idea. It wasn't until our pilot episode that I'd even heard of this whole Snyder Cut business.
What is this Justice League thing you speak of?
It was pretty much, yeah. The theatrical release, as I've now learned to call it, I didn't even know. Well, I think I must have known it existed, but I would have put it in the same bag as any other superhero film and gone, meh. So, I couldn't give you a background on my thoughts of when this was announced. What did you think
when you heard that there's been this grassroots campaign grinding away on Twitter for all these years, trying to get this film that you finally got to see on your big
Well, knowing
telly?
Damien, he probably thought there's a lot of basement dwellers out there. They've got nothing else to do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a film about superheroes that, for some reason or another, that I wasn't aware of, the original director had to leave for some reason, and someone else took over and released the film. There was no opinion.
I mean, to be fair, it happens a lot of the time in Hollywood. A director will leave halfway through. I mean, look at Star Wars. The amount of directors that they've had, the recut of branding that they had, the reshoots that they've had to do, script writings that they've had to do as well.
Exactly. So I was oblivious to that even being a.
I'm just sticking up for Damien there.
So what was your opinion?
That's what I was sticking up for. Thank you very much.
Well, what about yourself? You've known what's been going on. You were there doing hashtag release the Snyder Cut and sending it to anyone you knew on Facebook and Twitter. All 6 people received that.
my Twitter followers have increased. Yeah, I'm now on to 12 or something. I don't know. So so I saw the original theatrical version, as Damien said.
That's what it's called now.
What it's called.
Yeah.
It's the theatrical release.
It's
No,
now
I
with the
learned
kids.
that. I learned that this week.
I was
you
just
learned
impressed
that.
that I managed to say it without having to retake it. I wasn't overly enamoured by the first cut. Was I excited about this new cut? Not really. Did I think it was going to be a bit better? Yes. But then, as I think the last podcast and the one before that probably alluded to, I was getting more and more excited. Then I tried to curb my enthusiasm.
Oh, nice.
And so yeah, and then we saw the trailer. Hoped it was going to be better. Was quite certain it was going to be better than the original. But yeah, I was trying to keep my sights set low, shall we say?
Not get
So safe to say
overexcited.
expectations weren't high.
Well, yeah, well they were, but I tried to keep them diminished before what I do want to overly hype it before going in there, particularly as we can't see it at the cinema, which you know, all well and good. You know, seeing it at home with surround sound is one thing, and not having to pay 50 quid to take your family to go and see it is one thing. But you do miss out on some of the theatrics and, you know, how it should really be viewed. So I was trying to keep everything on the down low.
Actually, that's a good
fair
point
enough.
you say about family. It's probably almost still on topic a little bit, but what rating would it have gotten theatres here?
Well,
Because
that's the other
obviously
thing.
American system's different, isn't
No,
it?
no,
Well,
no.
it was an R rating.
So it was an R rating. I think it would have been a 15.
Yeah.
If I'm
Yeah.
honest. So yeah, it would have been the whole family.
See, my instinct already is that if you've got Superman in a 15 or an R-rated film, then maybe you don't understand Superman. But you know that. But there are other characters in it as well who may have justified that rating.
No, but this was
Yeah.
one of the things I was looking forward to,
But-
where it was
but
going to be
then
where it was going to be a bit darker and it's going to be a bit more gritty, a bit more not Watchmen, but you know, a bit more gritty, a bit more gory. I was
Yeah.
looking forward to that.
But there are other characters that can do that, and that's probably why they're there. Superman himself is, you know, Superman is
Wholesome.
the contrast. Yeah, but that's the whole point. Yeah, so you're
Yeah.
right. Wholesome. Well done, David.
No, I
Superman
wasn't
is.
trying to be sarcastic.
No,
there.
you won't. But that's the whole thing.
It was a genuine
Super- I was-
contribution to the conversation.
I was impressed in acknowledging that contribution.
Good old
That's it.
American Pie loving Clark Kent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hashtag wholesome. Yeah. Release the wholesome cut. Yeah. So yeah, because Superman is the opposite of Batman almost. So that's where the contrast is, and that's kind of what Batman versus Superman should have been. But Man of Steel was a mess to start with, so that's where we ended up. I guess it was.
I'm waiting for the Whedon cut on that.
Well, that was the thing. You're right though. That's what it's turned into now. You know, if you read sort of the online what do we call it? The online running commentary of this, it's turned into sort of Zack Snyder versus Joss Whedon. And you know, the thing we need to remember, okay, the theatrical cut, it was a bit messy. It seemed like bits were missing, and it kind of got bolted together with sort of some cheap effects and really bad jokes at times that they thought were really funny but weren't.
We've all done that.
Yeah, we've all done that.
Yeah, but we're
But
not
it-
released them at cinemas.
But you know, it's weird, and I think he had a tough job, and I think if circumstances had been different today without COVID, etc., would we have even seen a Snyder cut? Would they even be bothered to do it? I mean,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, it's just. I mean, I said it the other week. I mean, to me, the Snyder cut exists to sell HBO Max. This is the reason
Yeah,
it
I
came
don't
out.
think there's any denying that. I think that's 100% what it's been designed to do.
I mean,
He did it for free, didn't he? Allegedly.
yeah, well, basically, he did it for free. The only way they would give him complete creative control was if he did it for free.
Yeah.
So, you know, mug.
Well, what else is he doing? You know, with COVID going on.
Well, yeah, true. And he's probably had it all ready to go anyway. Like it's almost like he wrote the essay, and then before it was due in, like he was there. He had it all
Wrote the
ready to
theme
go.
tune, sang the theme tune.
No, thank God. But Oh God, you imagine that. But yeah, so we may have got some kind of Blu-ray super special edition Snyder cut before this, but I think Warner Brothers was still a bit worried about that because they'd had the whole backlash on Batman versus Superman and how shit it was, and everyone was moaning and taking the mickey out of the whole Martha part of that, where basically for 2 hours Batman and Superman battle each other, but then both stop when they realised their mum had the same name and went off and became friends.
So there's a lovely bit in Teen Titans Go, the movie, where they do exactly the same thing.
So their own, which is still owned by Warner Bros. So their own properties are taking the mickey out of it. Which is what they've thought of it. So with going into this the Justice League thing, I think Snyder was on his last life anyway. He was hanging by a thread. And then obviously with the tragic, horrible thing with his daughter and that, he left of his own accord.
Yeah.
And then Whedon came in and sort of changed everything up. And basically Whedon had a deadline to get it finished. And they were like, make it more like those Avenger films you made. Because we don't like this miserable grey, black and white stuff anymore. People don't like it. So then, and that's what we ended up with. And they got Danny Elfman to do the soundtrack, which was totally ripped out of the new one. That's all gone. And then we've got this new sort of Snyder cut, and I think I prefer it. And it's been tightened up. It's got a flavour. You've got to remember as well, and this is the thing. This guy has been sat at home polishing this up for since.
He's been doing what?
Polishing it up since the last one
lockdown's
came
been
out.
hard, but.
Yeah, he has seen all the criticism all his other films have got. He's seen all the criticism the original Justice League's got. So he can tinker. I don't think what we got in the Snyder Cut would have been the Snyder Cut 3 or 4 years ago. Do you get what I'm saying? He's had that chance to kind of hone it, play it to the audience. He's preaching to a choir now.
Yeah, he's had all the criticism before it's happened, isn't it?
All the bits people have moaned about or whatever before, he's had the chance to go in now and tighten it all up. It's almost like he's.
Although you make that sound like this is a slick, polished performance with no bad sides or dark sides.
Oh, but we're getting to that bit. But I'm just saying, in the initial setup of it, I don't think everyone's going, "Oh, this is a Snyder Cut. This was his vision all along." If he'd stayed on that film and nothing tragic had happened and he stayed on that film and it came out, this is not what we would have seen at cinema. Warner Brothers would have been in there. It wouldn't have been 4 hours.
Yeah, they'd have had to get it as close to a Marvel family-friendly film as possible.
In defense of Joss Whedon, who's not the most popular person in the world at the moment, he was given a job to come in and finish a movie. And so they told him what bits to remake. They told him they needed to make this guy happier. He needed to make this bit cheerier. He needed to do that. And that's what he came in and did. Did it mash up well with the original vision? No. When you watch the theatrical release, you can pretty much tell the difference of each part.
So did they, this is how little I know, were actors called back to reshoot stuff? Was it even in the can when he left, or was it still halfway?
Yeah, Joss Whedon reshot and did different bits, and took bits out. Like a lot of the Cyborg stuff got totally cut out, which is part of Ray Fisher's allegations now that they was a sort of racism at play and all sorts of things to do with Warner Bros. And that's a whole big legal matter that we're slightly sidestep.
Yeah, that's sweet.
That's not for us to do and get sued for.
Yeah.
But so there's a whole thing going on there, and if you watch the thing, you can see there is a lot of difference to. It's got a lot more screen time in the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
And so if you watch, one of the biggest parts for me where it really stood out is the bit where Bruce Wayne meets Aquaman. Right at the beginning.
Yeah.
In the original, there's no creepy singing ladies that sniff jumpers.
Oh,
and you get in the theatrical cut, that's not in there. But you get you see close-ups of Aquaman sort of stood in the water talking back to Bruce Wayne, rather than it's all sort of one camera far away now. But when you got the close-ups in the theatrical cut, it was clearly like a different day and a different weather condition with slightly different hair.
Right. Okay.
And it was like, kind of, is he wearing a wig there, or is it a bit different? Yeah. Like they'd obviously they got him back, stood him in front of a green screen, and just slotted it in.
This is the thing. I sort of said, when we started to watch it, I kind of relayed some information that I did know to Sarah before we started watching it, and that's just reminded me about what she said at that bit where she's got the jumper or whatever it is in her hand, and the mermaid fella has gone back in the water. She's like, well, it's no wonder it's 4 hours long if they sing songs like this every 5 minutes. So,
Merman.
what are the, yeah, whatever
Mermaid.
it is.
Mermaid fella.
Yeah. What's his name?
Aquaman.
That's the
So skipping around a bit, but from the text of how it's going to ride, but I guess we're looking at the differences now, and this is one of the key things for me. The differences between this and the theatrical cut is the build up to all the scenes. It's the long shots where, as you mentioned, Brett, it's Bruce Wayne trekking to see Aquaman, as opposed to him just turning up in the pub and and causing a ruckus. But it's that for every shot, and that's why it's 4 hours long, because it's focusing on.
Sometimes we didn't need it.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm not
that's what I'm
saying
saying. I'm agreeing with you. That's what I'm saying. I'm
Yeah.
agreeing with you. Sometimes we were like, yeah, that's cool. We get that.
And in the back of my head, I'm thinking that's probably another $100,000 he spent on that shot, or that 2 minutes
expensive.
of filming. To really say, I don't know, but as Damien mentioned, the fact that the soundtrack is completely different to all of the scenes. They got rid of Danny Elfman's soundtrack and replaced it with what we thought it was going to be the more Snydery random songs that come in, the Viking type songs in the background, or the random songs as well that accompany everything. That's me. I don't.
Did anyone else start getting annoyed with that Wonder Woman song every time she came on?
Yes.
It was like, oh, good again.
Yeah.
No, it's not in a different key either. It's just the same bit.
It's a bit of a Lord of the Rings stroke with something else in the 300 type thing, or whatever, or Vikings. Yeah,
we paid for it. We're going to use it.
But sometimes it worked well. The differences in soundtrack, and sometimes it just kind of felt, well, what was the point? It was all right to start with, and you just ripped it out and put this in for the sake of it, maybe.
But other comparisons. I'm just trying to think of any more. I mean, obviously we had the addition of the Martian Manhunter shape-changing scene, which made no sense at all.
What was the point? I mean,
there wasn't.
Again, I say it. What was the point? I'm trying to stay calm here. I resent you for making me watch this for 4 damn hours, but.
No, it was a wasted opportunity. But I think we're going to come on to this when we talk about some of the final thoughts and verdicts. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this film which, as a standalone film, which, let's face it, is going to be now, is completely wasted, and makes the film almost nonsensical. Or not nonsensical, but it's
even
never
in the
it's never going to have
the film. Why did he turn up dressed as Superman's mum? Dressed is not the right word. That makes him sound like Mrs. Doubtfire.
He's a shape changer.
I know he's a shapeshifter. I'm aware of the CW.
I'd love to see Mrs. Doubtfire make an appearance.
So the Martian Manhunter, Damien.
Yeah, why? What was the point in that? I get the point of the bit in the end of the thing. If he was going to carry on the story,
that should have been when we saw him change from that army dude. Because at the end, what was quite a nice scene between the dead dude's mum and the dead dude's wife or fiance turned into like, actually, I'm really the Martian Manhunter, and that was a bit creepy. It was a bit weird. And also, if you've been protecting your identity for hundreds of years or whatever it was, why would you change straight away right outside of her front door in front of everyone? And then change back into the army dude when he could have just switched straight through?
Yeah.
Pointless. Made no sense conceptually, artistically, and even as a superhero, you're dumb if you're doing that.
Okay, so let's go back to a bit of structure. Okay. So big things but because I'm trying, I invested a lot of time and effort into watching this.
Are you?
So have I. 4 damn hours.
Are you trying to follow the format of the episode, Paul?
I
I
was trying to follow the format and make it a bit easier for Damon when it comes to editing. So let's look at the differences and some of the things that stood out. And
hang on. When you say let's look at the difference, you don't want. We're not going to go through the 4 hours and go this.
Yeah, I know. I'm watching it right now. No, but I'm not really. It's just so. Let's start off from the very beginning. Superman dying, and his his death cry that spreads out across the globe,
and which woke up the mother boxes.
Exactly, and it's completely different.
So is that not in the theatrical release?
No. I thought you watched that, Damon.
It was on telly the other day, and it was on in the background, but I didn't actually watch it. I was already about probably half an hour into the film. So
this is completely different, and this harks back to like one of Superman's superpowers. His breath is, standing. This is his death yawp, his death cry.
Is death what yawp?
Yawp. Yeah, I was trying to be all posh stuff, and is that not from Dead Poets Society?
I don't know.
Wrong podcast.
Yeah, but this is where he dies. His breath goes across the world, touches everyone, spreads out.
This is dangerously close to being like we're analysing the entire film here. I'm getting a bit.
No. But I'm just saying it made a lot of sense when it came to the fact that
it helped to explain how it started.
Down.
Yeah, it helped to explain what happened at the start.
The boxes were reawakening or whatever, and here we come with the fact that
Hang on, no. They weren't asleep. They were just waiting. That's what she said. It never sleeps. It just waits.
Well, right.
Did everyone
see? You did listen.
Yeah, paid attention.
Did everyone like the really? I was very impressed how the Amazons had the whole thing of like knocking down the pillars to lock all the doors to leave them locked in with the mother. Did everyone agree that was quite a good idea?
That was the same in the original, wasn't it?
Yeah. And again, same problem. That is brilliant to keep someone in there. Not when you've got a big fucking glass window for a roof.
Well, that makes no sense anyway. Because
the whole thing with self-destruct and go into the sea, I get that. But
I think I was still trying to adjust the picture at that point because I thought there was something wrong with the TV because it was so dark and dreary. But
the only difference in that scene though as well, when they're still knocking down the barriers, is I thought in the original that the 2 last Amazonians got crushed by the wall, but it looks like they escaped in this Snyder cut.
This time they got out.
Yeah.
And it was more.
Well, they didn't, did it? Because the whole thing.
It felt more like it was more. I preferred actually the original cut of that because it was more ice hockey. In the first cut, it was like moving that box one to the other, passing it up,
so
right now throwing it to the next one. I think they lost something in that this time around.
You're right. It almost felt like the first one and then the last one. There wasn't that Raiders of the Lost Ark ball rolling down type.
And it also, I don't know why, but I need to go back and look at the theatrical cut again. But it just looked a lot more ropier this time. It just looked like, I don't know if he spent money somewhere else and then had to like compromise that scene, but it just looked a lot more cheaply done this time than it did when I first saw it in the theatrical release.
Maybe it's because all the colours washed out. So
could be, yeah.
It does make a difference to things like that, doesn't it?
But it looked like I was watching something on the Sci-Fi Channel rather than a multi-million-pound franchise movie.
Yeah. But again, that may be down to the fact that he had it was still a big budget, but it's still a limited budget.
But that bit was already made. All he had to do was
but he's completely redoing a lot of the effects, and you need to make sure that they sync from one scene to another. So you might have to downgrade some bits to make it. I don't know. I like the fact that the whole thing crashed into the sea. But then they were standing around waiting for Steppenwolf to magically appear or die. And then, lo and behold, he comes back from the sea, and then they're playing catch up to catch up with the Amazonians and stuff.
To be fair, Steppenwolf was a lot better. He looked
really?
a lot better.
Really?
I found that really off-putting, to be honest. But, not that I knew it was different until the other night, but the way the armor keeps jangling about.
I think don't get me wrong. I think they overdone it with it, but it actually looked like some kind of. He looked like he might have been there this time, rather than the first one. He looked like he was from Golden Axe.
I don't know. So I made 2 comments on this. One, I still wasn't impressed with the CGI, and the two, his armor was more off-putting, and it reminded me of Transformers when they transform. Wasn't as good as a cartoon. The films weren't as good as cartoons because they're all kind of mixed up and constantly. And his armor was the same. It just kept constantly moving for no apparent reason.
It's that's what I found off-putting. It wasn't necessarily. I had nothing to compare it to, so it's only since Sunday that I've saw bits of what he looked like in the other one.
No, I agree with that.
I think he probably does look better in the Snyder cut, but it's still off-putting. If the fact that it moves
shit in the first one though.
Yeah, that is awful.
Yeah, and true, but I don't think
I just thought it was over. It was just overdone.
But I don't think his new look was anything superb, and that armor I don't think was that impressive either.
I think it was that bad the first time, but at least he got his storyline this time. We learned about him. He'd screwed up. He was trying to get back in the good books.
Oh yeah, this is a story of redemption, isn't it? Or trying to be redeemed, not necessarily for a good cause, but
yeah.
To be fair, I think everyone's trying to be redeemed in this film for something. Possibly even the director, but that does seem everyone's trying to get over something. It's almost like he's just sort of put everything into it, isn't it?
Yeah. And then we have the whole backstory about when Darkseid first came to the Earth, which, to be fair, that was quite a good battle with like the likes of Zeus and the Green Lantern and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Ares from Wonder Woman, played by David Thewlis. You know, it was good to see him again. I mean, obviously CGI'd his face onto it, but yeah, that was a cool battle. But that was the bit they missed out though. No, he's the guitarist in a bunch of Wallies.
I know what you mean now. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. He is. Yeah.
So I think that battle was quite cool, and it again kind of set the scene. Even though Darkseid forgot that he'd been to the Earth before.
But there's a whole thing then that that would probably be in the 8-hour cut. But he wasn't Darkseid then. He was under his other name, and then when he got the power and became more invincible, that's when he turns into Darkseid. It's gone off the top of my head now.
Shady.
But yeah, that's why he got worked.
The one thing that I kind of found funny though, so we have this big battle. The forces of man, the Aquaman or mermaids and merman, and the Green Lanterns, that they managed to break the box apart into like the 3 different boxes or whatever. And the Amazonians, they protect it in like a grand castle thing, protected by Amazonians. The mermans and mermaids, that they look after it in the underground undersea fortress, protected. What did the manta race do? They bury it in the ground.
Yeah, well, I was expecting it to be dug up in a car park or something. Like,
I was waiting to see it over
Richard III or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was waiting to see it over a bar in a pub, to be honest.
Yeah, that would hide it in plain sight.
That would have some comedy value. No, but what the man do? They bury it and forget about it. Yeah, good one. No wonder it appears later on.
Well, that's clearly a message about the human condition, isn't it? That he's put in there.
Yeah, it's deep. Maybe they need some sort of redemption. So was the whole. It's redemption. It's man hiding and needing redemption, man. It's redemption. Other bits I thought was good as with this though. Cyborg's story was actually told for once, and I really did like the bit where he helped the woman out because there was no dialogue at all, and you see this woman struggling to make ends meet and all that, and then he fixed the bank machine for her and all that.
On the old heartstrings, that bit, didn't it?
Yeah, so I think you're right. So I think the 2 characters in the first release that really shone or got more screen time, as we've mentioned before, Cyborg 1 and Flash. I struggled to rate Flash at the best of times.
Don't you diss Flash? Well, you could diss Flash in this because it's awful. But
no, it's a lot better in this one. It's a lot better. Yes, it is.
No,
it's
better in this one.
I'm not having it.
No, it's better in this one. No, Paul's comparing it to
compared
to
the
TV series.
Oh, right. Sorry, I thought you were talking about Flash, the TV series.
No.
All right. Stand corrected. I'll back down.
But he gets a lot more screen time. Some of his other abilities about like time traveling, if he goes fast enough, come through because he can go faster than the speed of light. There's more of a backstory, and so I wasn't overly enamored with the first film with the Cyborg and Flash. They're almost the token gestures, as it were. But they had a lot more screen time, and I actually thought that they came across a lot better in this version.
And also, we have to give a special mention to Dr.
To our
Silas Stone.
sponsors.
Cyborg's dad, Dr. Silas Stone, played by the awesome Joe Morton, who, first of all, apart from a little bit of grey hair, doesn't seem to actually get old at all. He looks exactly the same now as he did in Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? He's always bringing back robots to take over the world.
He's done that. God Friend of Me was in. What else was he in? Town Called Eureka. Brother from Another Planet, which you do need to check out if you've never seen. It was in Smallville as well. He's done his rounds, that man has. X-Files. You know what I mean? He's been in everything. Kind of playing the same character a lot, but that's not the point. He plays it well.
His death scene wasn't as good as there was in Terminator 2, was it? Let's face it. There was
he saved a lot more people, though. He saved a lot more people.
There was none of his heart's stopping as he's holding the explosives from blowing up. It's he's gone. He's dead.
Another bit I was pleased they got rid of, the random Russian family that lived near Steppenwolf went in the thing.
Chernobyl. Chernobyl.
Well, they don't say Chernobyl, though, do they? It's just somewhere a reactor went because they might get sued or something. Or have to pay money for it. But there's a whole family that lives by there, and they get evacuated at the end. But that bit all got took out for something because it was pointless in the first film. I don't know what they were trying to achieve by that.
This is
bring.
So was
they
that
were trying to bring back,
or was that what's his
They
originally?
they completely redid the film and just cut out those scenes and replaced it.
No, he's on about in the first
No,
time
so
round.
when it was originally filmed,
Yeah.
did Zack Snyder film that scene, or was that a Weedo input? Do we know?
I don't know.
I like Weedo because that's I like
Because
that.
the reason I say that, because if it was a Zack Snyder original part of the film, as in it was originally he filmed it, then all the fanboys that keep on about how mysterious and cool and dark and awesome Zack Snyder is, he still filmed that shite. He just decided not to use it. So it was still his idea.
A lot of it now is, again, that's what was my point earlier. He just stood there going like, Josh Whedon did that.
A lot of the first film though was focusing on saving the population from around the area though, and I'm not sure whether
it was two scenes.
No, there was quite a lot of scenes. Trying to
So it was only that family though that we ever saw.
No, it wasn't.
The family and the
just that family.
tower block.
Yeah, but you had Superman
That's
and
not-
Flash saving them, at the end of the first film.
Yeah, but that's
That
not
was
a huge bit. It was like 30 seconds in total, wasn't it?
No, there's lots of it.
40 seconds.
Yeah.
Going
He
back
stops
to
the truck
Superman
and
though.
goes something like, he says some weird, I think it's Dostoevsky or whatever, and Superman flies past. Hilarious.
But yeah, I'm glad they were removed. They had nothing to the original film. Whether that was Snyder's original version or vision of them being in, or whether they decided to get rid of them, then it was the right thing.
It just reminded me, if it was Whedon, it looked like outtakes from Avengers 2.
Yeah.
Just sort of like that sort of.
No, it did.
He probably had that filmed and just sort of chucked that bit in if it was Whedon, but I'm not sure. One of the other bits I did want to bring up is they made such a big deal because in the Death of Superman, in the comics, when he comes back, he has the black suit on because the black suit recharges his Kryptonian biology with sunlight and all that, and it helps him get stronger quick because obviously he's like been dead for a year or whatever in the comic books.
Like a big bag.
Oh no, this time he had a big wardrobe of different costumes to pick.
And that was the one he picked. Yeah,
it was almost like Mr. Ben. He disappears.
And if by magic Luthor appears,
just like Mr.
But yeah,
Ben.
it was like they're like he's gonna have the black suit. It was like, oh cool, but they never. It was just he picked a black suit and wore it. It had no like deep meaning, no anything. It was just like if you knew, you knew, but they didn't really. And you do see him fly up to the sun. But they didn't really go into it.
He's been dead a while, so you're probably thinking, what's going to look better on me now? I can't really wear blue and red. Bit skinnier now. Black. And everyone wears black.
Everyone looks black, don't they?
Fat
You know
or
what?
thin.
Did it go well with black though? A moustache.
And it
he
ties in
never-
back with Batman as well.
Never had it. So that was one of the other bits, yeah. Because that was for Damien. Because that was a really funny joke, but you just didn't get it.
No, clearly not,
when they
obviously.
got him back, when Joss Whedon got him back for reshoots, he was making the new Mission Impossible film. Henry Cavill was.
So he had his
under his
mustache.
contract for there, he wasn't allowed to shave his mustache off, so they had to CGI remove it.
CGI it
and
out. I see.
And it looked like he just sort of had been badly burned and couldn't move his mouth. But yeah, no, it was that was another strange thing they'd done. I'm just trying to think, what was the other bit I was going to say? I do think Affleck does a good Bruce Wayne.
See, I was gonna.
Oh, are we really going there?
I don't know.
I said Bruce Wayne. I didn't say Batman.
Oh, I don't know. You could have a whole episode on that, couldn't you?
Oh yeah.
Let's face it.
What were you going to say, Damien? You keep saying you were going to say.
I haven't seen the other two. Is he done two Batmans before this
He's
one?
done. No, he's in Batman and Superman in this one, and he was supposed to have his own Batman film that he was going to direct, but after this went south, so did that.
Because I don't necessarily think in this film, anyway. I don't know about the other one. He was really given that much time as Batman. So what you said he does a good Bruce Wayne. They think you're right, but I don't know. I don't think from the layman that I am, I would be able to say whether he.
You didn't. Well, that's a good point. You don't think you saw enough Batman.
The problem with, and we don't need to spend ages on it, but the problem with him.
Please don't.
No, but the problem where he hasn't had his own Batman film is he hasn't had time to build up the character. Every other Batman has had the chance to build up a backstory.
That's what I mean. So you don't know. That's why it's kind of said about whether what it was
like
in the other one.
Christian Bale is one of the top-rated Batmans out there. Let's face it, as opposed to Adam West, obviously, but he had the opportunity to put the whole backstory.
But he was a law of diminishing returns, though. It got worse as it went on. So did the films, though. But Christian Bale, I'm not saying they're rubbish, but they got worse as they went on.
Oh, I beg to.
You were happy.
This is not a Batman bonus episode. We could do it. I mean, there is enough Batmans to go through for us to do this. I think so.
So you were happy he faked his own death and left it to someone who he put it under your real name, Robin.
I think it was that Christian. This is your last film. Let's make a nice ending, and let's for once let Bruce Wayne have a happy ending and get out of the limelight, and that was a nice closure to his time as Batman.
So what was the good and what was the bad, Damien?
Well, I couldn't tell you what was the good and bad if you.
Well, no, from your point of view, watching the film as someone just watching the Snyder Cut, as it's known on the streets, what was good? What was bad for you?
Bad, most of it. I mean, no, that's not fair. It's a good film. I'm not gonna be snarky for the sake of being snarky. I didn't, to be fair, notice the 4-hour runtime after 2.5 hours. Kind of got used to the fact that, shooting a bow from one end of the earth to the other isn't going to take 2 seconds like it would do in a normal cut film. They'll literally fly it through the sky for a good 40-50 seconds just to make the point that it's a long way to go. But yeah, what was the question?
Good. What was good? What was bad to you? What was good and your bad? Good bits, bad bits.
What are the highlights, Damien? What are the things that
what
really
did you
stuck
like
out?
about it?
Yeah,
what did you like?
I did like the character development for Wonder Woman, because I don't know a lot about Wonder Woman. I do remember watching repeats of the original Linda Carter show, but so the first hour and a half, nearly 2 hours, is more or less a Wonder Woman film, isn't it? And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, and I'm assuming that this was shot before any other Wonder Woman film, so they had to do a kind of introduction to who she is to make the film make sense. I might be wrong.
No, she had appeared. She had appeared before, and she had her own film around I can't remember if it came out before or after now, but she had appeared before. So you did have some ideas of like who she. Now her film did come out after Batman. Now we had Batman, Superman, and then you had her
Wonder
film.
Woman. Yeah,
but she was in Batman, Superman as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well. There you go then. What do I know?
Yeah, but it's still good. But to you, who've not seen it, it helped you introduce it brought that
Yeah,
character.
exactly.
Cool. So,
Yeah,
any other
which is what
bits
I
that you thought were good?
No, not really. It's an enjoyable film. It's long, needlessly long. I had to watch it in 2 chunks because of that. But
Did you like the fact it was broken down into different chapters, or did that put you off?
it didn't put me off, but I think it was pointless. But what?
Well, I think
What
part
does
of the
that
idea
achieve?
was it was going to be a premium TV series as well. So I don't know if that's part of the remnant of that.
Yeah,
'cause I
but
think
I
at
mean,
one
how
point-
hard is it to go back in and go? Let's remove that title. Let's remove that title. I mean, I can go in and take a couple of words out of what I'm about to say now when I edit this. It's not hard to do. So, what was the point in doing that and putting that in a film?
Can't mess around with a man's art.
Art my arse.
Okay, Paul, what about you then? Good bits, bad bits?
So it's hard to sum up good bits. I enjoyed it a lot more, as I said, for the fact that it built up a lot of the scenes with more gravity. And sometimes it worked well, and sometimes it just felt like an indulgence, as we mentioned, with the fact that Bruce Wayne is venturing to see Aquaman, but every single scene there was an additional setup, and I kind of like that to begin with, but then it just kind of felt a bit samey. It's like, well, are you just padding things out now just to make it a bit more, filling, screen wise. I think there was a lot more character development. I didn't really care about Cyborg or the Flash in the first film, I kind of did in this film, and actually would have enjoyed seeing a bit more of them in follow-up films, which I think is the fact from the first.
The Flash is coming. The Flash is coming.
Yeah, but again, from the first film, it was almost dubious whether it was going to happen, and I think one of the things that's helped, though, the Cyborg and Flash's characters is this new cut, because people like me invest more time in them. So I if a new Flash film was out, then I'd probably watch it now on the basis of what happened in this film. I think, yeah, but that's something because you really like the series, and I haven't watched the series.
Yeah, there's only one Flash. Hashtag there's only one Flash.
Bad things so we've already spoken about the soundtrack. I think there was good and bad points about the soundtrack. I think the last 30 minutes were probably wasted. So the film ends basically, and then we have the 30-minute epilogue or prologue rather.
What was the point in that?
Well, and this way.
Gravy.
And
I'll
I
get
think
to that in a minute for you.
Okay, thank you.
No, but I think that's my point. I think it would have been a lot more clever if he'd have intertwined some of those into the actual main parts of the film, as opposed to just bolting it on at the end. It really felt bolted on at the end. Michelle actually went to bed at the end of after 3.5 hours because the film was over, and then you have this, which is setting up the other 2 films that Zack Snyder
They're never going to get made.
Yeah, but that were going to happen, or in his head, and I think that was a bit of a shame and a bit of a waste, as opposed to trying to, as I said, blend them into the rest of the film in a more agile or better way. So I think that was a shame. I like seeing Joker again just because I like Joker. But again, I think it was all a bit wasted because is it a dream sequence? Is it a potential look at the future? It's kind of lost as opposed to getting him in the film or having a proper future spin on things. In my head, I'd have done it slightly different, and I think the last 30 minutes could have been used a bit better.
Cool.
I think that's it. The gadgets were still cool from Batman, and that's it. The cars were still cool. There's lots of good action. We've spoken about the additional battle with Darkseid before he was Darkseid with Zeus and all that, which actually added a lot to the storyline. What about you, Brett?
I was pleasantly surprised. I went in not expecting much about it at all, as you can probably know if you've listened to previous episodes. I was ready to watch it. I was hoping it was going to be good, but I had little faith, and I was wrong. I was wrong. That doesn't happen often. Still forgot. I was wrong in some ways. because some of it was still awful. I still, for some reason, it never sat me in the theatrical cut, and it still seemed a bit shit now. Superman comes back from the dead and just wants to fight everyone. What? Why?
Well, Brett, I've seen you wake
that
up
up.
from a deep sleep, or when you've been on the couch and you just want to fight people as well. So this guy's been dead.
Yeah, but there's a reason of that. This is just Superman. What did the Flash say, Damien?
It was in the theatrical release. He explained it. It's the Pet Cemetery effect, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. That was what he said. Yeah, bring back the Pet Cemetery, and that made the most sense. But luck in theatrical release, it brings Lois along, and she's done it. But in the Snyder cut, she just turns up on her own. You don't see that bit.
Yeah.
So she's just like Clark, and like no one.
Yeah, but see, I took that as it's just implied that she goes there every day anyway.
Yeah,
and that was going to be the last day she goes. So that's a kind of look how coincidental and lucky it is that she goes there, and the final day that she's go there is the day that Superman returns.
Oh.
Complete bullshit,
Yeah.
but
Superman returns. There's almost a film there.
I know. I had to kind of check my words as I said it, but I thought, no, I'm going to say it anyway.
But just as a bonus point, did anyone spot the policeman she bought a coffee for? The guy that was on gallery. It's Jimmy Olsen from the Christopher Reeve movies.
Okay.
Is it?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was struggling to see most things because it's so dark in the.
Great, yeah.
Thing,
I mean, the dark and grey bit, I guess I didn't like it much, but he's going for a look, and it's so artistic. But that's his vision. That's the director's vision. That's what he's going for.
To me, that just made it. He just wanted it to look less like a Marvel film as possible. Because
that's what it is. He's an artist.
Knowledge of Marvel films, they're all bright and sunshiny, and the red is red and the blue is blue. And it just looks like I want to make it as different and as far removed from that world as possible.
Biggest problem I have is I compare this to the Avengers, and the problem is the Avengers is like 3-4 films or whatever it is, and there's a progression and it builds up. So when some of the Avengers films weren't particularly brilliant, let's face it, but the last one for me,
really,
but this
that's
kind of
different episode.
But no, but this kind of teases me to think if he had have set out and had a plan for 3 films from the get-go, then what would that final film have been like? And that's the problem. We'll never know.
Well, again, that to me, that just shows it's the Warner Brothers Corporation playing catch-up. The Marvel had the game plan from the start, where they set out the different heroes and it all moved along. 10, 12 years in now, and and DC were like, right, we're going to do Superman, Batman, then we're going to do Justice League, and their characters aren't all as well known as some of the Marvel ones. I think they were playing catch up from the beginning, and now they've gone into this. They were just chucking movies at people, going, you can do Suicide Squad, you do Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman worked. And Snyder, I think he got a producer credit for it because he was sort of overseeing the kind of direction on it. But if you go back and watch the Aquaman films now, the Snyder cut has ruined everything in the Aquaman films now, because like the talking underwater, like the English accent came when, they've changed everything they did in the Aquaman film. But that's how Zack Snyder wanted to do it, so that's okay, even though it doesn't now fit in with anything else. But I think that's part of the problem. He's like, well, this is what I want to do. And it's like, yeah, but you're in a universe of other people. You need to, and that's where Marvel have been on the money. Yeah, but that's where DC have just chucked people. I mean, we've got another. I mean, DC's answered now. They've just chucked loads of money at James Gunn now to get him to do a new Suicide Squad movie, a sequel, and it looks pretty cool. To be fair, it's James Gunn. They basically went, like you did on Guardians of the Galaxy. Can you do it for us, please?
And that's what he's going to do.
I didn't think he was allowed to work anymore.
No, he's back, and he's on the new Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah.
The problem both studios have is that Marvel had the Avengers that's finished, and they're trying to compete with everything they've done before, and I think they're going to struggle. Whereas DC are trying to make up for all the sins of the past. So they've got less catching up to, well, no, more catching up to do, but probably a lot more hope. Because let's face it, yeah, a lot of the stuff in Marvel now, I struggle to know whether that's going to be any good compared to the Avengers, even Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, everything's been good so far.
Well, first one was great. Second one was a bit ropey.
Second one was brilliant.
It was still a bit ropey. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a good film, but compared to the first one, it wasn't there.
I've seen those two. I've seen the two Guardians of the Galaxy films. I'm sure.
Yeah, there you go.
Well done, Damien.
Kurt Russell's in the second one.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yep.
Yeah.
That's cool then. But I think that there's still. That's another episode. I'm trying to keep it onto the film. Otherwise, we can go on for ages. But
yeah,
well done.
We've gone off topic.
Yeah. So
films I have.
You've seen Iron Man?
I have seen Iron Man. Stop. This is the Zack Snyder Justice League.
That's right. Yeah.
Bonus episode thing.
Again, I think the biggest problem with Snyder's Justice League might just be not just Zack Snyder, but maybe Warner Brothers themselves. I think that's my good bad comparison. Really, the good stuff's good there, but I've never had an overall vision to start with. They've tried to rush stuff out. They look at what they did with the TV series. It took 6 or 7 years, and then they built up about 6 or 7 series now. Not all of them are on there. Like Arrow's been and gone now, but you still got The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Black Lightning, Supergirl.
No, you're right.
They're all separate. They would be better off sticking to TV shows than movies.
Oh, Batwoman as well. Sorry. Yeah, so I mean, they built it up. On TV, they've done it. The animated films are even better. They're really good and really dark as well, and not even for kids. Some of them. Batman swore in one of them. He F-bombed. I was like, what?
You can't do a good Batman film and appeal to the masses because Batman is a dark character. He's not your happy.
Tell that to George Clooney.
Exactly.
Bat nipples.
You just can't do it. This is why this version of this film would never have been at the cinemas like it is. Take away the fact that it's 4 hours long. Even if he'd have managed to make a 2-hour film, the studio would want it to appeal to a mass audience.
Most of the last Batman films were very dark.
Not like this though. They weren't as bleak. When I say dark, I mean bleak. It's a bleak film. There's no real, because of you put the epilogue in there. It's not necessarily a happy ending, is it? Because we know it's all tits up.
I think you're right. But I think at some point the epilogue or prologue or whatever they're calling it.
It's a bleak film that does not appeal to anyone other than people that retweeted the Zack
Release the Snyder cut.
Release the Snyder cut, and
now it's restore the Snyderverse.
That's it, the Snyderverse. It's only ever going to appeal to those people. It wouldn't have got the money in box office returns in the same way that Marvel films do because they don't.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
They don't have that winning chemistry. You're right. I mean, maybe I think I said this on the episode 0, is that Marvel have a winning chemistry when it comes to bringing all of the action, the comedy, the love.
I don't necessarily. I wouldn't say it's the chemistry. It's the characters themselves. I mean,
but a lot of those will be.
DC as being a much darker universe than the Marvel universe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and that's coming from someone who hasn't read a comic.
But the Christopher Nolan Batmans were incredibly successful. Critically acclaimed and box office acclaimed.
Yeah, but they're not linked to anything, are they? They were just a trilogy. They're just they're just a trilogy that they made and then put out and then went again.
But this comes back to the fact that they're not thinking long term.
Exactly.
We get one director to do a certain amount of films. We might have a spin-off when we go, let's get another director to do that maybe with a different vision. And you're right, Marvel we've got a 15-year plan They've probably got another 15-year plan for what they want to do.
Well, you've got to remember, we haven't even had Marvel's X-Men or Fantastic Four yet.
Don't talk to me about Fantastic Four.
Well, Marvel own it
There
again
can't be
now.
any more X-Men films.
Well, Marvel have got it back now, so we'll actually hopefully see an X-Men film done properly. But that's another podcast. That's good.
Yes.
Hashtag that's another podcast.
Can't
Because
wait for the
you know
invite for
they've
that.
got it back now. So eventually, I mean, Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff is been in the X-Men. That's where she came from. So I don't know if that's where it's all going to start slowly coming out from, or not. I'm not sure. But there's a whole.
They're going to bring back Gambit.
Well, technically, he hasn't been in the Marvel universe yet. So
No,
that's what I
exactly.
mean.
That's what I mean.
Have we got an off-topic button I can
We're
press?
going off topic again. Off topic. Yeah, so I mean they've got that, but yeah, basically, yeah, to bring that all together, Marvel got Kevin. I think it's Kevin Feige, Feig. Is it Feige? How you want to say it? He's the guy that oversees it, and then anything Marvel film, TV goes through him, and he makes it fit into the plan. However, it's going to what characters can be used, who can't, because they're in that film, or they're going to turn up in that one. But we haven't told anyone that yet. No, he obviously at DC are like, do you want to make a Joker film? Go and do it. Who wants to make a Batman film? Go over there.
Yeah.
It's all right. We're in a multiverse.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's better portrayed in the TV shows than it is in films, because
Yeah, well, the
your TV
have
show
even
has a story
explained
arc that exactly it doesn't have to be all done in an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever, and it can go and it can breathe for as long as the network is going to keep it on the air.
And
I think
took
that's one
time
of the
to
other
explain
problems
the
about.
different Earths.
And I think that's one of the other problems about Justice League and the Snyder revision is that actually it's coming from, as you say, the wrong attitude right now, where everything's like, well, where's the money coming from? How are we going to get $1 billion? We need a big movie in the cinema that's going to be published and redistributed across the globe, as opposed to, well, actually, do we invest money in the TV franchise and distribute it that way? And you're right that they've done.
I mean, it's unlikely you're ever going to get a Batman TV show just because of the.
Oh no,
budget
I'm not saying that, but they have
Hence
done.
why Arrow. I mean, Arrow is basically Batman without the gadgets from the outside looking in.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, they all go back to Zorro. The rich guy comes back, finds it's not what he like, and then dresses up and saves everyone. Everyone's been ripping off Zorro for years.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
right, we're going to wrap this bad boy up.
Right, so we need our final thoughts, and our verdict and our final thoughts. But just before we do that, I found out while I was looking at this. Do you know what one of Zack Snyder's early director credits is?
No, go on.
He did the Somebody to Shove music video for Soul Asylum.
Really?
Yeah.
He's just gone up in my estimations.
And he did loads of Morrissey's as well.
Nice.
If we're going out of 10, Damien, so I need an out of 10 and a final comment.
So an out of 10 on the film.
Film out of 10, Snyder Cut out of 10, and just a final, like a nice poster tagline comment.
I would give it. Oh, you put me on the spot. I was not expecting to give it a rating. Just purely on, I can see what the guy was trying to do, and my limited knowledge of this stuff. I'm going to give it a 6.
Okay.
Because it wasn't as bad as I was expecting. I still think. See, this is the problem. The whole thing for me is tainted by this whole fanboy nonsense and the hashtags and all of that malarkey. It's,
the DC QAnon.
Yeah, whatever you want to call them. Because in prep for this episode, I decided to have a little lurk around the bottom of the internet to look at comments. And
you've gone to the dark web.
It does feel like I've gone to the dark web, because there's just so much anger out there amongst what, if you've read the Crusades book, amongst the Chowderheads, that it was never made in the first place.
We're making that a
this
thing.
release wasn't made.
We're making that a thing.
Yeah,
we're making that a thing.
We should, from now on, they're Chowderheads.
The Chowderheads.
Yeah, but there's so much anger about this release never getting made. But I mean, as I said before, it was this has how you see it now, or even a shorter version of how you see it now. So take the theatrical release away completely, would never have been released, because a film like this has to appeal to a mass market, not just the basement dwellers and the people that read every line of a comic and will be able to tell you that, yeah, but in issue number 41 back in 1967, he said that he sat on a pin, and that's why he's got that little red dot on his ass. That stuff doesn't matter to people when they go to the cinema to watch a superhero film. So
I'm not taking this personally. You're okay.
you don't get angry about it. You know.
No, I know what you mean though. Chowder heads.
Yeah, I guess you are a chowder head, but not the angry chowder head that I've been reading these last couple of days.
Well, I would say I used to think I was.
Yeah,
now
exactly.
I realised there's a whole lot more out there. It's a lot scarier. I feel like, I thought it was cool because I murdered someone, and then it turned out there were other people that had murdered 200 people, and it's like, actually, you're nothing. I'm nothing
Exactly.
anymore.
I was reading the
If they were
comments
serial killers, I wouldn't even be in the book.
Yeah, you would, exactly. There's a comments. I think I read a review, and I went down to the bottom and I read the comments, and someone had literally put, really enjoyed the film, but something let down the film, whatever it was. I can't remember what he said.
Yeah.
And then this guy just got a tirade of abuse because he'd said, he'd pretty much done a shit sandwich. It was like, this is good, this bit's bad, this is good, this is good. So it's like one line that he'd said that let me down. I can't remember what it was, but the amount of abuse this guy was getting.
But that's social media in general, though, isn't it?
Yes,
yeah, it's toxic fandom.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Yeah, no, but that's anything. You post anything. The amount of stuff.
Yeah, but it's still the same people.
Yeah, but none of this shit matters, does it? It's films based on comic books. Why get so angry?
Toxic chowder heads. I'm
Toxic
upgrading
chowder
it.
heads. Yeah. So there you go. That's my verdict. I don't know if that was any use or
and
help.
You went for a 6. It was it.
I went for 6 as a film, forgetting all of the nonsense that comes with it. It's still a good film.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I've seen of the theatrical release that was on the other night, it's a much better film than that. Except they removed Flash saying the Pet Cemetery line, which would have added.
It actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's my verdict on.
Fair enough. Paul,
I'm going to give the first 3.5 hours 7.5 out of 10.
And the last bit?
No, I'm not. It shouldn't have been there.
It doesn't exist as far as you're concerned.
As I said, just turn off after the first 3.5 hours, and then it makes a lot more sense. As I said, it should have been woven into the main film or made more a part.
See what?
Yeah, but if you'd have done that, you'd have had to give Deathstroke a backstory. Which again, was he in any others? I don't know.
That's what I was going to say earlier on. The Deathstroke bit where he arrives on the boat and he gets off and he's with Lex Luthor on the boat. In the theatrical cut, that's the after the credits bit. So in like Marvel did when you watch it, then after the credits a bit happens. Which what they've done this time is they moved it more into the story. Okay, so what they should have done then is put the future bit or the parallel Earth bit or whatever it was with the Joker in. That should have been the after the credits bit. So you just got this random bit at the end. Oh, is that the future? Is that Earth 2? Yeah. Is that, that would have been a nice little bit of speculation, but they just kind of, it was like the end of the Lord of the Rings where like every single character had to have a goodbye scene. It was just
several goodbye scenes for
I've been here 18 hours already. Just get on the frigging boat.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. So no. I think it was a shame it wasn't the release that made it to the cinema, because it probably would have made a bit more of a splash with the critics and the box office as well. Because I think it would appeal to the fans and actually would have made a better film that would get more aplomb as it were. But yeah, 7.5. I enjoyed watching it with the surround sound up full. It was a good night, and that's what you want from a film.
Think that the fans would just see a film that only appeals to the fans would recoup that? Yeah, it is.
Well, the
Because it would
first
have
one,
to be. We said
No,
it
no,
would
no,
have
no.
have to been a 15 release at the minimum in its current format.
So let's face it, the first film didn't do that bad in comparison. It didn't.
it lost money.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But it didn't lose.
Yeah, but
Hundreds of millions.
those people that went to see it would have been the fanboys.
Yeah, but why?
So that's where their big money comes from. Would have come from for that
because
release.
it wasn't more mainstream, and the story wasn't as good. The story flowed better.
You could fart out a Marvel film, and people will go and see it. If you're a fanboy, you could fart out a DC film. The fanboys will go and see it. But if you fart out a DC film and the critics say it's crap or it's a 15 release, you don't get the family audience, and that's why you won't see this kind of film.
I don't know.
Made by Warner.
You still make. But as I said, the Christopher Nolan Batman still did phenomenally well. They are not wholesome. Take your family to go and see it. They're dark films.
You haven't got Joker saying he's going to give Batman a reach around.
Yeah, but again, I was speaking on the first 2.5 hours.
don't go to that bullshit. You can't say that the film. You can't. It's the film as a whole. You can't just go. Yeah, the last half an hour.
I think it would have made a better box office hit than the original one. Because if you don't have the critics on your side, and if you don't have any fans on your side, then you're going to be struggling to get any decent reviews and anyone wanting to go and see it. If critics are saying it's crap, no one's going to want to see it anyway, whether they're a fan of DC or not.
I beg to differ on that, because every fanboy has seen the theatrical release just so they can say how shit it is.
Yeah, but we're not talking about just fanboys, are we? You're talking about it being popular at the cinema. If critics are saying it's crap, other people aren't going to go and see it. If critics are saying, and the critics have given it a decent reviews, not all three of us, but we're talking about critics out there. They're giving the Zack Snyder release good reviews, and if you've got something like that on the poster or on film 2021, whatever we are now, go and watch this film. Then if there's 1 million people watching those TV programs or watching or getting hold of these reviews, then they're more likely to go and see it as opposed to something that's saying it's crap. For me, it was a better film. It was more watchable. I would rather spend money to go and see this in the cinema than I would on the original theatrical release.
Cool. I would go with a 7 out of 10, mainly because I went in with such low expectations and was just expecting a total shit show. I was actually impressed because there was clearly some effort made and all the things we talked about today. So I think because I went in with such a low expectation, I was more overwhelmed by the bits that were actually good. In 6 months' time, when I watch it, I'll probably be like, that's a bit shit actually. But at the moment, I was.
Do you not find that weird though? Do you not find that weird? In 6 months' time when I watch it, because I'd have never even contemplated watching the original again.
It'll probably be on at some point. Well, I've got it saved on the Skybox, so I don't have to pay money for it.
That's a difference. But I think that's a difference. I might watch this one again.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Oh no, definitely. The other one I've got on Blu-ray upstairs, and it's really good.
The only reason I'd watch
it's a film it's a DC. It's a comic book film that's been slated, but you still have it on DVD,
Blu-ray.
Don't get them started on DVDs. Don't get them started, Brett.
But that's my point.
I'm a completist.
So exactly. But Joe Blogs down the street who likes films.
It got bought for me.
But you own a copy, so someone is.
But that's going to be worth. That's going to be worth money. That's going to be worth money now, though, because that one's going to get deleted. And everyone's going to be worshipping this one, and I've got Pet Sematary upstairs. You know what's going to happen now, though, aren't you? Someone's going to splice both of them together for the ultimate supercut on the internet. Some fan's going to chop it all together now with far too much free time.
Yeah.
But it was it was nice to watch. It was a bit long. I would have liked a Green Lantern to show up at the end as well to help out.
Yeah.
That would have probably pushed it to an 8 to me, just for that kind of unexpected cameo, because we all knew Martian Manhunter was in it, because you'd already in between then, they'd released all the design sketches and the guy had gone, I was supposed to be the Martian Manhunter, but it never happened. Okay then, so we got a 6, a 7 and a 7.5 for some of it.
For the first 3.5 hours.
So we're averaging it around about a 7-ish then. 6.87.
So groundbreaking review.
We'll go 6.5
alright.
actually. We'll go 6.5 as an average, because your second half bit that you wouldn't rate would drag your average down.
Well, it'd be
as well.
6.75, 6.8 if you're going to be finicky about it.
It's not ice skating. So there we go. That was our verdict on Zack Snyder's Justice League.
And lots of other
waffling. Lots of other sprinklings of shit thrown in for you there. On our hashtag toxic chowderheads. Right. So if you are a toxic chowderhead, if you are a toxic chowderhead and you really hate what we've said, why not write a review for it and give us loads of feedback and share it to your friends and share it to everyone and let them know
email
just how
address
much
is
you moaned about it.
giveshit@mail.com.
So there you go. So it's a goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from them. Muttley.
Superman.
Right, immediately.